Hello, welcome to the second day of February 2026. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are detailed and explained in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with any noteworthy challenges or opportunities that I met and either managed well or poorly, because that's the opportunity that I have to learn where I'm doing well or when it's really tough, and where I did really well or really poorly. That's where I need to tune things, learning from the former, tuning or adjusting, changing from the latter. Stuff that's right down the middle, I don't really worry about that so much. So this is, even though it is a live journal exercise, it's not where I'm just necessarily recounting the events of the day. I'm really trying to, suss out the difficult, tricky bits to learn and improve, so that I can live in better accord with my own values. I also use this time to go over my creed, at least the first eight objectives, to name them in the least, and to read one of the 35 principles. This, like I said, is an open journal entry. You're welcome to watch and leave comments and to leave criticisms as you see fit. Good morning, April. I, besides responding to April saying hi right there, I've trained myself now to check the first comment or two to make sure that everything's working. Like I missed that whole audio thing a couple of days back. The whole audio wasn't working. So, but now that I've seen one comment that everything's working, I'm off to the races. I will read and respond to all comments when I'm done, but for the most part, I don't respond to or even read comments as they fly by on the screen. That's because I have a bit of a soliloquy, so to speak, to do. I have a chore here to do, which is to review the last 24 hours. All right, and finally, two things. And finally, first thing, huge, ginormous welcome and thank you to my subscribers to the channel. There are sure a heck of a lot of new subscribers to the channel with the recent return, so to speak, to making videos that's occurred. Welcome. It's great to have you here. And a huge thank you to my YouTube supporters, my members, and my Patreon supporters. It's through you that I'm able to have my website, goingalone.org, where people can look up the book when they want to. And boy, there are a lot of people, sure, a lot of people from China yesterday popping into the website. The website's getting a lot of traction, which is good, because that's why I created it, was so that people wouldn't have to buy the book if they're curious about the story within. But since I have so many new subscribers, a quick bio. I'm Kurt. I'm a almost 62-year-old American, retired with my Japanese wife Yumiko, living here in the Satoyama borderlands between the city of Shizuoka here in Japan and the countryside. We have a little house here and a garden and a patio and a couple of little dogs and a grown daughter that lives up in Tokyo and is pursuing her own life. And the last thing I want to do is disclaim. Uh, I do talk about subjects sometimes that may be uncomfortable to people, namely my own plans and expectations for my own death. So if that's a sensitive subject for you, you've been forewarned. With that, I'm going to jump into it now. I keep notes every day, and today's notes, under the heading of the last 24 hours, in- includes just one simple note there: atmospheric. It says a fine day. That's all it was. And that's all I can really report on. Yesterday was Sunday. And between yesterday at this time and right now, nothing really happened that challenged me, which is a good thing in a way. I guess it means I got a little bit of a break from the tough stuff. Heaven knows I am not without tough stuff. I currently have a horror show, which is the subject of today's reading today. Not the particulars of my horror show, but the fact of it, and the label that I have in my book and the description of it. That is ongoing, and I gave a lot of thought to that yesterday. But that's become part and parcel of my days now, and not so exceptional that I need to point anything out. I'm ready for it. I had discussions with my wife and some people back in the United States, so I'm handling the horror show as almost like when I was a project manager, the way I would handle issues and risks in my projects, right? I'm aware of them, I am tracking them, I'm acting upon them, I'm communicating with others as needed, et cetera, et cetera. The good news in all of this is the fact that, in spite of the horror, the color has returned to my life for the last, since roughly the start of October last year. So almost going on 4 months, 4 full months. I've been living in a kind of a colorless world due to the horror show, which has kind of robbed me of the, the delicious sensations of life, right? Because I've been just, life has looked very bleak due to the horror. Just a second here. I seem to have come to the other side of that, and I'm recovering. Describing the color come back to the world turns out, even if not in fact the case, is a very good and apt description of how this change occurs. It really is like the world has regained vibrancy. And the fact that I've returned to YouTube, with the gentle suggestions and maybe gentle proddings of my own wife, saying, you should do this again, you should go back to YouTube, has helped as well. I enjoy making YouTube videos. I enjoy being a content creator. And I began yesterday with the very first At Home in Japan, the first video in the At Home in Japan YouTube series on my channel. So I think it went off well. It's a new series, as I described yesterday. It's not necessarily a daily series. It's a whenever I want to series, and I was pleased with it. It felt like making a retiring in Japan video, but without the mission or mandate of documenting retirement, nor the weight of the necessity of knowing that I need to do it every day. For that, I've got this video and my gardening videos. So that's all I have to say for yesterday, which is good. My creed now consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. The 8 objectives, which I will enumerate and name now, are: number one, the principle or the objective titled to be always ready to die. See, I told you I'd talk about death. This means that I need to have my life in a circumstance that, should death come now, today, I don't leave my wife in a bad situation financially, or in any situation, not knowing where documents are, et cetera, et cetera. That I don't leave anybody in my life that I have had poor relations with in a situation where I could have done better to have improved our relations in before I died. Nor, finally, did I have any of my life's work either incomplete or, if not complete, in a messy state. And that is not the case with any of them. My life's work is complete. My daughter is raised. My book and my creed are written and lived out and practiced. My relationships are in the soundest order they can be. They're certainly not perfect, but they're as good as they can possibly be. I do believe that that is the case. I've done all I can to have the best relationships I possibly can with the people in my life, as imperfect as that is. And my home and affairs are certainly in order. Sure, my taxes aren't done, but my wife can take care of that if necessary. It's not the fact of the detail of everything; it's the knowledge of the process, and that the machinery of life continues to run in my absence. So check. I am ready to die. I don't want to die yet. I have a lot of things I want to do. I sure have a lot of stuff in the garden that I want to do. So I hope I get to live another day, but I'm ready if not. My second objective is to um, do is to make good use of my time, to not let today slide by without affecting good ends, in proportion and accordance with the values outlined in my book, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. Thank you again to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Then my third objective is to develop and maintain said objectives and principles, which I've already done the hard work of, and now I just have to maintain it through this exercise, this good life meditation. That's why I call it that. Good life is the name of the creed. My fourth objective is to cultivate good emotional reactions. A key element of my life's constitution and execution is to position myself in a state of mind where, even when life gets really bad, I don't fly off the handle. And I made it so far, 4 months through the horror show, this current horror show, and have not yet once lost control of my emotional equilibrium and balance, which says a lot. And I can't remember the last time that life has ambushed me to the state that I lost my external control. I'm not flattering myself, but I am. This is a diary entry, so I can indeed write in my diary, "Dear diary, my emotions seem to be under control, which would be in fulfillment of objective number 4. And I guess it's no surprise given that I work at it every single darn day. The fifth objective is to apply my values to the world in such a way that I'm achieving the ends that I wish to fulfill in my life, which is namely the pursuit of the improved state of the well being of thinking creatures, aka more virtue in the world than less. My sixth objective is to try to apprehend and recognize and live in accordance with my recognized limits and opportunities so that I am demanding of myself, expecting of myself, requesting of myself actions and decisions that are in proportion to what I can really do and not worried about applying hashtag apathy to the things that are beyond me. My seventh objective, that is to do just one thing at a time and do those things slowly and deliberately and very carefully. And my eighth and final objective, a consequence of the first seven, if played out in a good order, is to achieve and maintain a state of balance in both body and mind. Not always easy to maintain. I do lose my footing sometimes, but it's a long time since I fell on my butt. As for the principles, I've picked out the principle titled "The Horror Show," which I will now read from the book. This is principle number 16 in the Good Life Creed, which can be found on page 261 of the hardbound edition. Let me move a candle in place so I can see. Yesterday, I found a really nice antique candle holder at the flea market, similar to this one, but much nicer. But it was very expensive, so I didn't buy it. The Horror Show. Now, I deliberately gave this principle that name because I wanted to differentiate the horror level of life from just the average run of the mill things. Sometimes just don't go very well in life, right? Which is the principle just ahead of this one called "Life will not go well." Life doesn't go well very often, most of the time, almost every day. Something happens that life doesn't go well. We get a flat tire. The IRS comes knocking on the door. Or we fail a test. Run of the mill everyday type of stuff. Once in a while, though, life throws us a horror show, which is at the next level. Pediatric cancer. A catastrophic car crash. Where people are injured or killed. The death of a pet. I mean, these are horrifying things, right? The horror show. Let me read. The recognized consequence of a universe unfolding beyond reach of our care or ministrations, and the awful evidence that there is no overarching management or oversight beyond the descriptive record we make and share with one another of how things operate, and the necessity which physics, chemistry, and time does seemingly demand of us all. So those things that happen without the oversight of an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God, right? To look over things when we realize that we're kind of on our own in the world, with the exception of our connections with others, and the notes and the care and the communication that we make to try to identify, forecast, and prepare for and remediate in the hindsight the horrifying things that go on. At last, we stand with our hands at our sides and our mouths agape and our minds at wits' end as the unfolding tale of what is moves on without notice or care of what we want or think is good or right or simply humane. It just moves forward, the universe that is, leaving everyone behind. We will all be left behind in the wake of horror. Well, maybe I could have been a little more nuanced than the way I wrote that. I clearly am recovering from the current horror show that I'm involved in. At least I'm covering to the point that I'm reaching operational capacity again, and the color has flooded back into the world. So the horror won't necessarily always kill us, although there's a good chance that horror eventually will be our undoing. As for today, the next 24 hours, well, it's a Monday here in Japan, so I'm going to do my remittance. I need to bring over the monthly budget from America to Japan. So I'll do that for first thing in the morning, probably after this is done, if I have time between now and radio exercise. And it looks like I will. I'm only 15 minutes in. And then I'm going to continue working on my taxes, which I've already finished my taxes. I already did my American taxes. Just simply now I'm doing it with an accountant so I can double check my work. So I like to make sure that I did the numbers right. I then will, it looks like I owe a lot of money. So I kind of blew it, but, I even handled that pretty well. So that was last week's thing. Light another candle here. Is that burned down enough? And then hopefully I'll get some good time in the garden today. I did last week was phenomenal. Man, I'm getting strong. I can spend all morning and all afternoon in the garden without really without falling off a cliff anymore. It used to be when I first started, when I first bought this place, spent 2 hours in the garden. I was finished for 2 days. Then after a while, I'd finish for a day, finish for the rest of the afternoon. Now I can go all day long. 3 comments. Hello, April again. Tim, good morning, Tim. Weather check for the UK at 8:34 p.m. is 6.9 degrees Celsius and 97% humidity. A drizzly, who knew? A drizzly, dull day. You've had the rainiest season, Tim. My goodness. As for me, it looks like it's right at 0, and it feels like it temperature, and I can't quite see the humidifier thinger. So it's 0 temperature though. Tim says hi to April. Robert, hey Robert. Robert says hello to myself and April and notes that it's currently -8. Wow, degrees Celsius and 48% humidity with an air quality index of 32 in lovely Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Eh? Tim says hello. Hi, Robert says hello to Tim. Tim says hello to Robert. April says hello to Tim and Robert both. Elvina, hello Elvina. Good morning to myself, April, Tim, and Robert. Tim says hi to Elvina. Robert says hi to Elvina. April says hi to Elvina. Evelyn, there's Evelyn. Evelyn says hello to Mizudatsu, Tim, Robert, Elvina, and the new subscribers. Thank you, April, Evelyn. Elvina says, a beautiful sunny day here, -5 degrees. I love your optimism and upbeat nature in -5 degrees Celsius weather, Elvina, with a slight cold wind from the north. Ooh, the snow we got last week is starting to melt and recede. Hang in there. Yeah, that was a hell of a snowstorm, huh? Tim says hello to Evelyn. Robert says hello to Evelyn. Tim says, I really enjoyed your first at home vlog. Thank you, Tim. Did it feel any different from retiring in Japan? I think it was a bit different. Did you notice I didn't put any snapshots? I decided not to put any photos. It's just literally the video snippets one by one going along. And it was funny how the two cameras intersected, huh? Because I had not the live, but I had the long garden camera going, and then the videos, they were kind of like two worlds passing, ships passing in the night, video ships passing in the night. Elvina says, I enjoyed yesterday's at home Japan video. Oh, thank you very much, both of you. Evelyn says, whatever I want, whenever I want anything is the best. Whenever I want to, anything is the best. What is that referring to, Evelyn? I don't, whenever, because you've got it strung together there. Whenever I want to, anything is the best. That sounds like a line out of The Sound of Music. Whenever I want to, anything. I don't know. Not sure I don't know what you're referring to. Elvina says hello to Evelyn, and Robert says hello to Elvina. At Roku Jones, good to see you. It's been a while, Roku Jones. We had a 15-degree wind chill in Daytona Beach, Florida today, with some areas having flurries in Florida. Wow. Elvina says hello to Roku Jones. I read your temperature and thought that's not bad, but then I remembered you meant 15 Fahrenheit and 15 C. I think Jim Gaffigan still gets the prize for noting that at negative 50 degrees, it no longer matters if it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. I think that's the funniest thing I've ever heard regarding weather, and it's the third day in a row I've referenced that joke. But yeah, it does kind of mix things up, doesn't it, Elvina? Lori, hello, Lori. Jane Shell, 1505. Hello, Kurt. Hello, all. Enjoying at home in Japan. Thank you very much. Hello, Lori. Robert says hello to Lori. Tim says managed an hour in the garden before the heavens opened up. LOL. Worth it though, as the little robin was about 5 feet away from me, singing his heart out. Isn't that lovely? Aren't those robins just amazing? The species that I have here, Tim, that we were talking about before, I've noticed that there's two of them. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. That's how I can tell the difference. I wonder if they're not territorial like the robins where you are, because they seem to be coexisting in the garden. At least I haven't seen them interact, and I don't think they're this one and the same birds. Lori says, ordering seeds while I wait for spring. Beautiful. Guys, spring is going to be here before we know it. Aren't we excited about our garden? We planted at the flea market yesterday. We picked up some more beans, and I squeezed them in the trellis yesterday amidst the others, which I think means that since we have multiple types of garden beans on the same trellis squeezed in tight, I think that when they all tangle up, there's going to be this type of bean and that type of bean all over the place. It's going to be hard to keep our beans in order. Tim says, I felt the vlog more relaxed, maybe as you don't feel the pressure or urgency to make the video. It just seemed to flow more naturally. Yes, Tim, I felt that too. Maybe it's also because well, no, I just want to fully agree with you. I think it's because the Retiring in Japan video had a mission, right? I was documenting like a journalist, an experience. And now I feel like that mission is complete and I can just document whatever I want. Just literally just, a chance to share the day in a more curated fashion than the long 2, 3, 4 hour garden videos, which are the wholesale uh, distribution of the day, so to speak. Where it says your bean leaves look like pea leaves. Maybe they are peas. I don't know. I'm a new gardener. You might be right. And I do every time I try to describe those things, words beans and peas float up in my mind and I pick one. So it'll be a surprise for me when they later in the season, but I bet you're right. Your gardener's eye can pick out what they actually are. Okay, everybody. Well, I think that's enough. I've made it through comments. 22 minutes in. If I stop now, I can complete the remittance, and just in time to be able to go and do radio exercise with my neighbors on this 0 degrees day. Yumiko thinks I'm nuts. She thinks all of us are nuts for getting up before the sun comes up to do that. And you can just see the dawn is starting to light up beyond, and Rudy is buried deep. Wishing all of you all the best, and the new subscribers, welcome again. You're always welcome here on at this video, 5:30 a.m. Japan time. It's always good to have folks drop by. Everyone's welcome. Tim says, "Have a great day, great Monday." You too, Tim, and everyone else. Lori says, "Have a lovely day." Elvina says, "Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe, but not too safe." I don't even need to say it. Elvina said it for me. And hi to Rudy. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.